as our Master Jesus taught. Ooh.
Another day, another flower, another minute past the hour. Someday the sky is blue, and suddenly we can't see through. Every day is a fresh new start. When the sun turns off the moonlight, we get another chance to choose the road we want to cruise in. On the other side of the mountain, there's always a whole new road, a new beginning calling after every end. There are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win in the new round. On the other side of the mountain, there's always a whole new road, a new beginning calling after every end. And there are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round.
When life lends a hand, it is time to open up your heart. It is time to love one another. It's time to take part. Vibrate always, loving, serving everyone. Vibrates always, loving, serving everyone. When we give our heart in charity, our life has transformed into songs. Our dreams become reality, and we join Jesus for eternity. Vibrates always, loving, serving everyone. Vibrate always, loving, serving everyone. When we give our heart in charity, our lives are transformed reality, and we join Jesus for eternity. Source of love that radiates, warm up our cold night, support and comfort, support and comfort, as days come down the mountain, falling the children of earth with love in the hearts, with love in their hearts. My soul never loses hope, because your love always teach me the solution lies in our door. The solution lies in our door. Oh, my mother Zephyrina, harvest of wonderful blessings. Make your small son a good Christian. Make your mild son a good Christian. Jesus, here I am, my knees on the floor, say thank you, my Lord, for the light that comes through this door. Your love is the key to change the entire world. Using these chains wisely, we will live in peace and harmony. Now I understand, helping others is helping myself. Your words now are so crystal clear. Your teachings have no frontiers. To see all these transformations, we just have to put love in action. To see all these transformations, we just have to put love in action.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our study. Um, we are so happy that you are here with us tonight. Before we start, we would like to share a couple of announcements. So I'm just going to share my screen right here. Yes, so please turn off your please find a quiet place, if possible, to study with us tonight. That will help with concentration. Turn off your phone and phone notifications so that we can have our attention to the talk tonight. That's very interesting. The meeting format is 30 minutes of presentation, and we'll have then followed by 10 minutes of question and answer. And we'll have, following that, a spiritual treatment with passes and also magnetized water. So now is a good time to put on the side a container of water that will be magnetized, and you and all your family can use. And yeah, so that's the message for the water, right? Another announcement, please follow us on our Facebook pages, Spiritism Canada, and also our Spiritist group in London, Ontario, Paths of Light. Also, today we are also transmitting this live through YouTube. So through our YouTube channel. So if you prefer YouTube versus Facebook, that's another option to follow us as well. And we are going to start now with our opening prayer. So I invite everyone to join me in this prayer. So if we could please just close our eyes and elevate our thoughts to our Master Jesus, to our Father, God, that sends us so much love, that love us so much as His children. And as we tune in with the higher spirits, with the good spirits, with our Master Jesus, we ask Master Jesus your blessings during tonight's meeting so that we can keep our hearts and our minds open to your messages, the messages that bring us peace, that bring us courage, that bring us joy, joy for every moment in our lives, every experience we have the opportunity to learn, to improve ourselves. May the teachings of tonight fill our hearts with hope, with new energy that make us go through our difficulties, go through our lives, finding the lessons, finding the spiritual support that we need. We are so thankful for this opportunity that we can reserve 1 hour of our week to study, to find, to share experiences, and to learn teachings that warm our spirits, that warm our souls. So please help us today and always. So be it. Okay, so today's talk is about Socrates and Plato, the precursors of Christian idea in Spiritism. So we are going to see how Socrates and Plato's philosophies and teachings have in common with Christianism and also Spiritism. And for today's lectures, we have our friend Lucas from London, Ontario, who is going to share some reflections about this topic. So, Lucas, thank you for being here tonight. Hi, everyone. We got some technical problems with the audio. Um, we'll be back. We're just fixing the issue, right? So we might just put just a song so we can get this sorted out. But please bear with us, okay? Thank you.
Come on, my friend, come to the light. Here with all our heart and soul, let's follow Jesus Christ. Let us preach the peace, let us preach the love. And this world already wonderful will be much more. Get up, look at the sky. In the earth where the flowers do with sunshine. Let's hold our hands and be together on this road. Then we take peace and love and spread it to the world. Good vibes, laughter and shout outs. Show it to the world. Always follow the footsteps of our Lord. All roads that I show.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucas Brazil. I'm from the Spiritist group Pets of Light in London, Ontario, Canada. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, talking to you a little bit more about Spiritism, about all the teachings Spiritism brings to us. Tonight, I will be talking about the fourth item in the introductory part of the Gospel according to Spiritism. It's Socrates and Plato, the forerunners of the Christian idea and Spiritism. So once again, thank you for your time. You can follow me here using the slides. If you have any questions, you can text us, use the Facebook page, and ask us later. So the topic of today, once again, Socrates and Plato, precursors of the Christian idea and Spiritism. Okay, so we know that great ideas, they don't suddenly come out of nowhere. They are spread throughout time and space, so you can reach everyone, right? So when we talk about spiritism, we, we usually think of Allan Kardec, right? Who in the 19th century codified the Spiritist doctrine, and he codified all the teachings given to him by the Spirit of Truth and so many other spirits. Of course, as we read his books, all his work, and also so many others like the Bible, for example, um, we didn't understand, like people at that time didn't understand that much, and we can also see that there were so many others who came before Allan Kardec, before Jesus, to, let's say, prepare the land to be sowed. Let's put it this way. Many ancient peoples like the Greek, the Egyptians, Chinese, the Indians, they already presented similar ideas to the world, and many have already had the mission to bring Christian and spiritual ideas to the planet before the coming of Jesus. Among them were the Greek philosophers Socrates, who lived between 470 and 399 before Christ, and his disciple Plato, who lived between 427 and 347 before Christ. They were both from Athens, and they can centuries, 500 years approximately before Christ, or and the Essenes, to prepare the ways to the Christian revolution. So as you can see here, God sent someone with the mission of summarizing, coordinating, and completing the scattered elements to form them into a body. So we know many times an idea pops up here and there, and then in the future, the whole world is more prepared to absorb that idea. Now, moving on to the next slide. On the right time, God sends a man with the mission to summarize, coordinate, complete, and reunite the scattered elements of a doctrine. So that's what Allan Kardec did with Spiritism. That's what Jesus did here with the Christian ideas. Of course, many before him, as we're gonna explain here, Plato, Socrates, even Buddha before, bringing some ideas of a love, of a future life, etc. Okay, so talking a little bit more about Socrates. So Socrates, just like Christ, he wrote nothing himself, or at least he left nothing written that we know of. But how do we know like so much about him? It's because of his disciple Plato, who wrote everything we heard, or everything he heard or learned from Socrates. So he also suffered from a violent death for having attacked, as you can see here, established beliefs, and for having placed true virtue above hypocrisy and the illusion of forms. So he was combating religious prejudice. He was accused by the Pharisees of his time because he was bringing these ideas of the unity of God. You can see here in the next slide. So the unity of God, the immortality of the soul, and future life. So we will present here, of course, they left so many beliefs. He fought hard and he left so many ideas. So we're going to present here how his ideas, Socrates and also Plato's ideas as well, they were connected to the Christian idea and to what we know today as the Spiritism. So here, of course, we know, onto the next slide, moving on here, Jesus' doctrine was purer and more complete than Socrates. Of course, this was 500 years later. Humanity was a little bit more prepared. They had reached the point in which the light radiates by itself. So they already had this idea that Socrates and Plato has brought to humanity before. But of course, we know Jesus had to bring so much more. So here, just a summary of the doctrine of Socrates and Plato. Let's see here, let me change the slides. The first one was men are incarnated souls. Before the incarnation, the soul already existed and was a associated two ideas of truth, good and beautiful. So they were saying that people are incarnate souls. Before incarnation, they existed united to a primordial model. And then when we're separated from it, when we incarnate, and on remembering our past, we are more or less tormented by the desire to return. So that's the doctrine of pre-existence, of living the spiritual world in order to incarnate and then return into the spiritual world after that. Finally, it also explains the doctrine, the Christian doctrine of the fallen angels. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. We should never reciprocate injustice with another injustice, nor cause anybody any harm, no matter the damage that was caused to us. So isn't this the principle of charity, which prescribes that we do not return evil for evil, that we do not pay back, and that we forgive our enemies, right? So they were saying that before. They also said, here next slide, wealth is a great danger. No man who loves wealth loves himself. So we know that being rich could be a great challenge, right? Even today, we read in the gospel that it's not possible to serve God and mammon at the same time. So wealth is often a trial, right? Of course, if we can use that wealth to progress, to help others, that's great. But if not, again, it's a challenge and it can be a great danger. Into the next slide. According to Socrates, those who have lived upon the earth meet again after death and recognize one another. Spiritism shows us the continuation of the relationships they had in such a way that death is neither an interruption nor a cessation of life, with no solution of continuity, but a transformation. So Socrates said to his judges, one of two things. Either death is an absolute destruction, or it is the passing of the soul into another place. If everything is extinguished, then death would be like one of those infrequent nights when we do not dream or nor have any consciousness of ourselves. However, if death is but a change of habitation, that we know it is, the passageway to the place where where the dead must meet, what happiness to find there all those we have known. So Spiritism shows us that relationships we have here continues, since death is not an interruption. It's not a cessation of life. It's just rather a transformation without any discontinuity. We can meet again, of course, everyone we've met here in this life, our loved ones, parents, grandparents, siblings, and we can maybe go through other existences together, right? So we can learn from them, we can teach them. So not only Socrates and Plato were one of the greatest philosophers of their time, of all time, but it's possible, and in my humble opinion, they are still today helping Christ in his divine mission. So they were chosen because they were more apt to understand Jesus' sublime teachings, and it's likely that today they're still participating in the host of spirits charged with teaching mankind this same truth. They also said here, moving on, it is a natural disposition of humankind to perceive other people's drawbacks instead of their own. So we see in the gospel according to Spiritism this. You see the mote that is in the eye of your neighbor, but you do not see the beam that is in your own eye. Isn't it so true? Like it's so much easier to see other people's faults, other people's problems and judge them. Isn't it what we do all the time? We judge people because it's easier to see the mote in their eye than instead of the beam in our eye, right? They continue here saying that all men since childhood do more evil than good. So what they said was actually in their own words. All men, right from infancy, commit far more badness than goodness. So that's right, because we are on a planet of trials and atonements. We are here to learn. This is still an imperfect world. So there are still wars, crime, corruption, and most of us are still imperfect. We are here to learn, so it's very likely that we will do more evil than good. Of course, as we progress, as the planet progresses, and we become now a planet of regeneration, then this is going to change. So we're going to do then more good than evil. On to the next slide. So they said that it is by its fruit that the tree is known. So it's necessary to qualify every action according to what it produces. So if we are a good person, if we want to be a good person, we're going to do good things. And the opposite is also true. If we are bad, right, our fruit is going to be a bad fruit. This is also in the gospel. The maxim is in the gospel according to Spiritism. It's by the fruits that we know the tree. It's repeated so many times throughout the gospel. Okay. Continuing here. Be prudent and do not pretend to know what you don't. So Socrates said, and of course Plato's in Plato's book, we see that it is more judicious not to suppose you know that of which you are in ignorance. So Socrates is famous for something he said, which is, I know that I know nothing. So nowadays, we always assume we know more than what we actually do. We're always, especially using social media, we want to give our opinion about everything, even things we never heard of, things we're sure we don't know of, but we don't want to show ignorance. But that is actually ignorance, talking about something we don't know of. And Spiritism teaches that as well. It teaches us that we know very little, and that we must be constantly learning. Okay. Continuing here. Socrates said, love, which must unite humankind through a fraternal tie, is a consequence of Plato's theory on universal love as a law of nature. So actually, Plato wrote about that, talking about what he learned from Socrates, that there is a fraternal love. So love, which unites men through a fraternal link, is a consequence, right, as a God's law, a law of nature. Socrates said, love is neither a god nor a mortal, but a great daimon or devil. Just so you know, the word daimon, devil, in the past for the Greeks, it was actually, they were talking about spirits, souls, not just like we understand today as something bad. So love is neither a god nor a mortal, but a great devil. That is, it's a great spirit that provides over universal love. So that preposition was held against him like a crime. Back then, it was an absurd, like, what are you talking about? Love presides over everyone. But we know now that God is the supreme intelligence, cause of all things, and that love is God's law. Also, we're going to talk here about Socrates' death. When he was questioned about his teachings, about everything before he was executed. So he stood for his principles, right? He was condemned to die like a criminal. Just to talk a little bit about his death, he was forced to drink a poison called hemlock. So then he died. He was a victim of again, as we mentioned, the existing fanaticism. But he was questioned. His disciples asked him, do you accept that? Why don't you run away? Why don't you run away, never come back? Are you going to let them kill you? And then he answered, do you think that's me? They're not killing Socrates. They're killing my body, right? I am my soul, and they will never kill my soul. So isn't his soul and his teachings still alive after almost 3,000 years? Aren't we talking about it? So we know the soul is immortal. We know that everything he left is still here. They killed, of course, his body, but Socrates is immortal. Okay. Um, he was talking about here the great truth, rising against interests and prejudice. The great truths cannot be established without battles and martyrs. So, as we know, all throughout history, there were so many martyrs, so many people that fought against the religious biases. They wanted to everything that was established, and locking people in cages. They were against it. Socrates was one of these people martyrs, just like Jesus was, and so many others. He also left us, of course, if you want to read Socrates, Plato's, or any other famous philosophers' books, they were thinking about so much more than this uh, uh, um, physical existence. One thing that he said here, Socrates, is that a philosopher's constant constant preoccupation should be to take great care of the soul, less with respect to the present life, which lasts but an instant, but more with respect to eternity. So, as the soul is immortal, wouldn't it be more prudent to live our lives bearing that in mind? Right? So, both Spiritism and Christian faith teach us, they both teach us the same thing, that we should take care of our soul first, our spirit, our body, right? Is the consequence. They were also, let me see here, there are actually 21 items in this chapter talking about everything that can be compared to the Spiritism and the Christian faith. They were saying that, let me see, we had genies or diamonds, devils, or what we understand today as the spirits guiding us. So that is the doctrine of guardian angels, our mentors or protecting spirits. And they were also talking about successive reincarnations after some intervals in the spirit world. So our mentors will help and guide us after we die, and help us when we need to return to the physical existence. They were saying that we go to the Hades, so the god, the Greek god of death, and then after a while there, we would come back to existence. So that's reincarnation, and we do that for multiple times. They were also saying that if the soul is immaterial, then after this life, it will have to go to a world which is also invisible and immaterial, the same way as the body decomposes and returns to matter. So as we can see, Socrates and Plato, they both understood perfectly the different levels of dematerialized soul. They insisted on the varieties of situations resulting from its more or less purified states. So what they said through intuition, Spiritism proves by the numerous examples which it places before us. So we can read that in all the doctrine, Spiritist doctrine, examples of how our body dies and how we go to another dimension, another realm. So that's the spiritual realm, or what Jesus said, it's his kingdom. My kingdom is not of this world. So that's what they were talking about. Other things they mentioned quickly here, let me see, that if death meant the complete dissolution of the man, the bad spirits would have so much to gain from death. So that's because then what's the point in doing the right thing if we die and then there's nothing more? We could benefit from doing the bad things. They also wrote about how the body retains, excuse me, the vestiges of previous existence from accidents and marks, just like Spiritism explains us that we may suffer in one existence from things that we caused or went through in a previous existence. What else they said? Oh, that's important. They said that the most beautiful prayers and the most beautiful sacrifices mean less to God than a virtuous soul who has struggled to be like him. It has been a grave error to think that God dispenses more attention to their offering than to our souls. So that means we can repeat our fanciest words, make beautiful rituals and earthly sacrifices, but they're nothing if they don't come from the heart. If we don't really mean it, if our actions are the opposite of what we say. So our actions and true feelings mean more to God than beautiful, empty prayers. That's also in Allan Kardec's work. Jesus was always saying that we should pray from the heart. They also said that virtue cannot be taught, but comes from a gift from God to those who possess it. So that's the Christian doctrine of grace. And also Spiritism explains that because when we possess a virtue, that's because we acquired it through our own efforts during successive lives. So by reading ourselves of our imperfections. And how do we do that? That's reincarnation, a gift from God to help us acquire these virtues. And lastly, they also said that if doctors are unsuccessful in treating the majority of ailments, it is because they treat the body without treating the soul. If the whole is not in good condition, then it's impossible that part of it should be well. So we know, excuse me, we know Spiritism offers the key to the relationship which exists between body and soul, a body and the spirit, proving that one constantly reacts to the other. We know that if our soul, our spirit is sick, then our body will suffer, and vice versa. Um, and now, science in general is taking that into account as well. What's the point in just treating the body if you're not treating the spirit, the mind, the soul, right? So we have, for example, passes and spiritual treatments. There is something we now see as effective as a physical medication. Just to finalize here, one of the last slides, Socrates said, the only true wisdom is a knowing that we know nothing. And actually we don't know a lot. We think we do. We are here to learn. So keep learning. We need to do our best to keep learning and progress, to help ourselves to evolve, to help our neighbors, our dear ones. So as we can see from all of this is that they were indeed, Socrates and Plato, spirits on a mission to plant the seeds of future and eternal life. They also wanted to explain the sorry, the grandeur of creation through the means of philosophy, of course. But if we look carefully, there are so many others that came before and after them and brought us the same message. Okay, so I do hope you liked and learned something from these words. Thank you all once again for your time, and have a great rest of your night. God bless you. And if you have any questions, you guys can message, email, or no, you can do anything online, and ask me questions. Our group here will be happy to assist you. Thank you once again. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Lucas, for this study. That's great. Very important remarks. It was great to have some overview, right, of the teachings of Socrates and Plato. And Publio, what do you think about the talk? Any impressions? Anything that came to your mind?
Yeah, it actually was very, very well done. Like the remarks that he made about Plato and Socrates, like as we saw in the lecture, they were like a precursors from Christianism, right?
Mhm.
And but I was thinking, why didn't these ideas didn't come and get strong? What your vision about that, Veronica?
Oh,
Why?
that's a good question, right? Because we can see that all the basics, right? It's the same teaching, but we it seems like we don't get all that at the same time, right? So it really shows, and I think Kardec already mentions that the divine laws are universal. They exist since before our existence, right? So that's why it's these types of truth are surviving through eras, and the truths that Socrates and Plato are talking about are similar, are the same truths that Jesus is teaching, the Spiritism is teachings, are all the good spirits, right, that come on earth. And and God is so good to us because He bring messengers, right, missionaries in every points, all points of the world, right? It's not a privilege from one place or the other, in all times. So we can get the lessons in many different ways, probably, so that we can learn in
Yeah, it's
some
very
way.
interesting because Socrates is around 470 years before Christ.
Yeah,
Means he brought some ideas, but people weren't prepared to get all those ideas. So came after Jesus Christ, and he also said, "Oh, don't worry, you're not gonna understand everything. I will send a consoler after all." And came the Spiritism and clarified all those truths that we couldn't without the explanation of the Spiritism, like reincarnation, because reincarnation is not only Spiritism talk about, like some Hindu
hmm,
religion, they know about reincarnation. The only difference, they think you can reincarnate in an animal. And Kardec
hmm,
came and taught us, no. You have a degree, and a certain time you cannot come back to the animal world. You're progressive all the time. So those comments was very, very interesting. Like reincarnation, take care of your soul, your body goes to the mother. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
also sorry, I'm talking too much, but one thing very, very important in the end, he was talking about the marks in our body that comes from another experience. So now we know very well through the psychophony, the psychography of
psychography, yes,
yeah. So show us how we get those impressions for another life in our body right now. So Confucius,
yes,
Joan of Dark, Mother Teresa, Chico, all they talk about helping others is helping ourselves. So I was very impressed in the connection between the truth that came through the world in many different times.
yeah. And I guess it is a very, it fills us with hope, right? Because it tells us that we are not alone and we are not at will in our lives, right? We have support that comes from the above, from higher spirits. We just have to be open to listen. And that's very encouraging, right? While we see sometimes so many injustices in the world we live, that we think that we are just alone, right? We are by ourselves. But on the other way, right? Just have to find the answers in the way, right? And we have so many some comments here, and yeah, so many messengers, right? And that God sent to us, and I think that's a very positive, right, message for to end tonight's, I guess, study, right? To have this in mind that we are not alone. We can find,
I
right?
want to see just one more thing about this, because how important is to study, not only read some book, right? So in Spiritism, they say we have to study because we have to understand exactly what Socrates used to say. Jesus Christ, like the same thoughts, the same teaching. And here in this group, we have our every week, every Tuesday, we have this studying group, a kind of, And we also have a school on Saturdays that now we are having the school in Portuguese, but soon we're gonna have the same kind in English too. So everybody is invited too, right?
Yes,
And
that's
I'd
right.
like to say thank you, Lucas. You're amazing. You did a very good.
Yeah, and Lucas could not be live with us, but he's in the chat very actively here, putting some comments, right, and complimenting. So our thoughts. So we thank you. We appreciate very much that you are around. Yeah. Oh, here is one, right? We are never alone. All creation of God across the universe is with us, right? The universe is not only on Earth, right? Everywhere. Okay, that's awesome. So I think we have to move on now, right? We have to move on to the next moment of our meeting where we are going to I'm just trying to share here my screen if I can. Here you go. Where we are going to move it to the spiritual treatment. So spiritual treatment is it's a moment where we can have a better connection with the higher spirits and to have our energy rebalanced, right? So our spiritual treatment is made of passes, which is a distransfusion of spiritual energy, assisting our physical, emotional, and mental balance. And also, along with the spiritual with passes, we can take advantage of magnetized water. When we are in this situation of meditation, of concentration in prayer, the good spirits take this moment to put in the water fluids, right, to magnetize with energy, with good energy that help us to also rebalance our body and our mind. And that water can also be shared with everyone that lives at home. So that's why we ask you to reserve a container of water. So you still have time to pick up some water to be magnetized during our vibration. In the best benefit from our spiritual treatment, it's you can follow the guided audio instructions and remain in prayer. And you may also close your eyes and find a quiet place, and that will always help with mentalization. Okay, so we are going to start then the passes. So I ask you to I'm going to make a prayer in preparation, and following that we'll have the guided treatment. Okay, so let's join me for this prayer, and you can close your eyes and keeping this environment of peace, of clarity, where we study together, and even that we are each one in one place, we are together. We are together in joining our thoughts. And because of that, we can put this energy together, positive energy. And from there, we ask the good spirits to be with us during this moment of spiritual treatment so that each one of us can receive the spiritual medicine that we need to our to our weaknesses, to our points of imbalance, to the areas that we need care. So we ask Master Jesus your blessings in this moment. So be it.
Let's prepare ourselves now for the moment of the passes and the blessing of our water. Place by your side a container with clean water to be blessed and magnetized. Dear brothers and sisters, no matter where you are in this moment, what difficulties you're facing, Jesus is always ready to come to our help. Place yourself now in a comfortable position, one that facilitates concentration and receptivity. Breathe slowly and calmly. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Fill your lungs with air and release slowly. Let the energy of tranquility and peace penetrate your lungs and circulate throughout your body. Your soul, in harmony with your body, feels peaceful and at peace. Let us think now about the passage of Jesus among us. In a beautiful and clear day, the golden rays of the sun illuminating the joyful landscape, multicolored flowers, bouncing, chirping birds fill the landscape with optimism. The news of the cures brought a crowd of needy people around Jesus. Suddenly, Jesus appears, calm and serene. His white tunic is light and long all the way up to his feet. At the sunset, all those who were sick and affected by different diseases were brought to him, and Jesus, laying his hand on each one, healed them, as narrated in the Gospel of Luke. Let's mentalize now Jesus approaching us in this moment, placing his friendly hands on top of your head. Feel the presence of this divine master right with you, feeling like a waterfall of pure and clear waters start to fall from his hands, coming from his love to bathe you, falling on your head, streaming down your shoulders, bathing your whole entire being, bringing you peace, serenity, and balance, cleaning all impurities and pacifying yourself. Feel these waters bathing you, cleansing, and purifying. Breathe. Now think of Jesus as a sun right before you, his light, his warmth, embracing you, enveloping you. Feel the healing emerging, emanating from Christ towards you. He hears your prayers. Trust him. His love is infinite. He is always by your side, protecting, offering everything you need. Trust him. Feel and absorb all these magnificent healing energies coming from Jesus in this moment. His light surrounds and embraces you. Feel these energies running throughout your body. Feel yourself re energized, strengthened, and at peace. Dear Lord Jesus, our divine friend, extend your generous hands, Lord, and transform these waters into remedies for our physical and spiritual ailments. Hold us, Jesus, in your peace. Extend your vibrations of love for the benefit of my home, dear Lord. May peace, health, tranquility reign here with my family. We give thanks to you, Jesus, and pray that you stay with us today and always. Thank you, God.
Okay, we would like to thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoy the meeting, the study, and that you found something um, to touch your heart and to have a good week. So we are gonna also please keep following us on our Facebook page, and we'll be here next week at the same time every Tuesday. Okay, so we are gonna do our closing prayer. So I'd like to invite everyone to join me in this prayer, closing your eyes. And in gratitude to our Father of so much love, we would like to thank you for this opportunity that we join our hearts to receive these words of inspiration that remind us of our true nature, our spiritual nature that goes beyond this life, beyond our physical body, our true essence, where we can be full of love, peace, and harmony. Please, Master Jesus, help us to find our real truth, who we really are, full of potentialities, full of love to give our neighbors, full of talents to share and make this world better. We ask your blessings, Master Jesus, during this week so that we can put forward everything of good that is inside of us, that we can share the joy of life, we can share within our family, our places of work, the people we see on the street, so that we can share joy, we can share peace, we can share a friendly smile. Please, Master Jesus, bless our homes, our families that are nearby or far away, that everyone near us can also receive the blessings we received tonight. And stay with us, dear God, today and always. So be it.
Come on, my friend, come to the light. Here with all our heart and soul, let's follow Jesus Christ. Let us preach the peace, let us preach the love. And this world already wonderful will be much more. Get up, look at the sky, in the earth where the flowers do with sunshine. Let's hold our hands and be together on this road. Then we take peace and love and spread it to the world.